Happy Friday, and welcome to From the Honeycomb, a podcast that creates a spark of positive energy to your home, to design, architecture, yoga, meditation, and travel. I've created this podcast as a place to come for design inspiration and especially to learn about Vastu Shastra with a modern approach. I'm your host, Katerina, and welcome to From the Honeycomb. I'm very excited to share this week's episode with you where I sit down with Abmari and we talk about how to start manifesting your dream home, what steps to take if you feel stuck, and it's just overall a really motivating episode because you learn how to manifest with all of your senses. So let's jump in. Hello, welcome to From the Honeycomb. I have a very special guest on our episode today. I have Abmari, who is a breath and spiritual life coach on today, and we're going to be discussing manifesting your dream home. So Abmari, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited and honored to be here. I love everything that you talk about on this podcast, so I'm excited to join in on the conversation.
And so as we begin every episode, we like to start with grounding down and thinking something we are grateful for in this moment, whatever it is, big or small. So what are you grateful for in this moment?
Oh, I love this. I love to start my day with gratitude. And today I'm feeling so gracious, really, truly for connection, community. It's something that I had missed out for so long in my life. And so to have it now, I just hold it really, really closely to my heart. And so to be able to even do something like this and have connection with people that I wouldn't normally is just, I'm so grateful for at the moment.
Oh, I love that. Oh, that's perfect. I was thinking too before this episode what I'm really grateful for. And I've been coming to this realization probably within this last year is I feel so at home in Southern California. I feel like growing up, living on the East Coast, Europe, Colorado, everything, and in Chicago, I finally feel like this is home. This is where I'm supposed to be. Like if someone were to ask me, where are you from? I'd be like, oh, I'm a Californian. I just I don't know. Everyone around here seems to I just get everything, the flow of energy. I don't know. There's something about it here in Orange County too, just by the ocean. I really feel at home. So I'm really grateful for that.
I love that.
Yeah.
I would still be interested to see your astrocartography and see if there's a line that runs through here.
I definitely think there's some ley lines here because I've come back, even moving back here, I was like, there's something here. There's definitely something here. So yeah. Oh, thank you. All right. So as I mentioned, we're going to talk about manifesting your dream home. But Abmari, can you kind of share for listeners who may not know about manifestation, where to start?
Yeah, such a good question because I think it's such a buzzword. And there's so many these types of buzzwords going on with spirituality and new ageism and things like that. And manifestation, as far as I can see and sort of have experience in my own life, really comes in two parts, it can be sort of seen in two containers. So the very first one is, I think the part that a lot of people kind of get stuck in and stop at is it's bringing your energy into an experience and driving vision into that experience. And so a lot of it is visualization and journaling down exactly what you want and sort of being able to see it and feel it. For me is, the very first level of manifestation. And again, I think people kind of get stuck here and they're like, okay, I've dreamed it and I've put it down on paper and I've painted this beautiful picture and now it's just going to come to me. And while there is a part truth to that, I'm very also pragmatic and logically based thinking. I'm a Virgo, so I very much go analytical. So, for me, the other side of it that I think really brings this whole manifestation equation into fruition is actually taking action, doing things in your everyday life that physically get you to that place that you want to be. So kind of breaking down your vision and your goal into actual tangible steps is that last part that is really going to move the needle for you. And it's really going to allow you to have the vision that you want today rather than waiting for that, okay, when I have this is what it's going to look like. And having all of those things fall into piece in that way, you actually build the blocks yourself so that you can sort of like step into the vision that you want to have. So yeah, it's partially, and I think like this very like feminine, flowy, we're going to dream and we're going to like imagine and open up our minds and be very, expansive. And then, this other more like masculine and tangible part where it's like, okay, we've got this beautiful vision. Like, let's actually break it down, create some steps, like create some tasks, and then we're going to start moving and taking action so that we have this life that we want.
Oh, that's perfectly said. And it made me remember what we had talked about during one of our Dharma calls. So Mari and I are part of Rose Gold Goddesses, where we meet, every 2 weeks to talk about our Dharma and our soul's purpose. And Mari made a comment a couple weeks ago where she's like, yeah, I walk into a home, even though I know I can't afford it. And I just like visualize myself being there. And I just kept thinking about that comment because that's like what you're talking about, that next step. It's not just writing down, you are now going somewhere to a beautiful home. It may not be exactly the home you want, but you are putting that energy around you of, wow, taking that physical step, not just you said, writing it down, thinking about it. And that just seems like it's so powerful.
It's so powerful. Like I'm always going into like, what's the energy of what's happening. And so that's like a beautiful way to create the energy that you want to live in, right? So like we can dream up everything in the world, but if we can't feel that experience, then it's never going to be, because like that's that's just kind of like law in nature. You really have to be able to like see the vision, but also see yourself experiencing that vision. And what better way to see yourself experiencing the vision than to actually experience it, right? Like
Yeah.
physically like do the thing and say like, you know what, I'm gonna go and see. I've gone into multi-million dollar homes and like, kind of like allowed myself to create this world that I see myself being part of. And there's a very, I think, like fine and beautiful line that we want to step into and make sure that we're always on. That's not like delusion, right? Like
Right.
we're not to like
Yeah.
think crazy thoughts and like say like, hey, like this is my life, but we're creating the vision for it. And we're
Hmm.
stepping into that energy and saying like, this is the home that I want to be in. And then what's kind of interesting, like once you start doing those things, you start seeing like the whys and the like, why is this important to me? And I think that is another beautiful level of manifestation that we can really pull into is, once we're in that experience and we're kind of like walking around this beautiful dream home, we're starting to see like, okay, like why is it that I really like the structure of the home? Or, what is it about the lighting or the windows or the placement of something that I really, really, really love? Because that's when you can start adding those things into your life today. A certain type of curtain that you see in this home, like that's something that you can do today. That's something that you can buy right now, bring it into your home. And again, like that's where the energy comes in. So like you feel that that's part of your experience. And so you're able to move and be in that state of this is my dream home and it's happening for me right now.
Mm-hmm. No, it's so true. Those little things, like we just recently got new dishes last weekend, and it just like kind of leveled up our home. I feel like even just the use of new dishes, and they're a new color, and then they're something we also bought together because when Jesse and I moved in together, a lot of our kitchen stuff like mixed in from what we both own. But that's also now we're just like, should we wait till we have a home to buy these? But we're like, no, just get them, and it's so true. Like we love now we just like when we make dinner and these plates are such a fun color. It's so different and it's so true. It's just like, why would we wait? Just
Yeah.
let's do it now. Let's take that step. Yeah.
I love I love that you say that because I have the exact same experience with dishes as well. And it's so funny that you brought that up. I call them my happy plates. But so I was actually in a home. I live in an apartment right now, but I'm a dog sitter by by side trade. And I was sitting for a dog and it was this really, really beautiful home. And remember I was washing one of her plates and I was like, God, this is a gorgeous plate. And then I said to myself, it's going to be so much fun when I have my own house and I can have like, these own beautiful plates. And I was like, wait a second, like pause, hard stop. You can have that right now. Like who says that you have to wait until you have this like certain look of a home and certain like lifestyle? Like you can have these things that you want right now. And so what did I do? I went and I bought those plates. Like, and when I got them, like that same energy that I had in that home where I was like, oh my God, like life is so good. Like washing these dishes feels so nice. And like I see myself in this dream home. I now have that experience every time I use these plates. And like they've got this beautiful floral design. And yeah, I call them my happy plates because that's what they do. They bring me joy. And like even my meal is different. Like I feel that energy and I allowed myself to experience it rather than waiting for that dream house or like that dream situation to come in. We can invite that stuff into our life right now. And I think those are the things that really are the stepping stones and sort of like move us up the ladder towards what we want. Because if we can be grateful for what we have right now, you're going to see the door start to open up to the things that you're dreaming of because the universe is seeing like you are grateful and you're so inviting of like beauty and openness and air and light in your life. Like, let me give you more of that.
I love that. And then, so what happens when someone is stuck though? Let's say they've journaled, they've thought about it, meditated on it, they've tried incorporating the new dishes, and there's just still that stuck where they're just like, I'm not seeing results. And I know we live in a time of instant gratification. So you're like, well, in 2 days, I should see a result when it could take months, years. So, what is your advice, I guess, if someone is stuck and just can't seem to get out of, well, I don't have a result. Why don't I have a result?
Yeah, no, I love that so much. And like, I think there's a step that I don't necessarily always like talk about, but I think it's actually really so important. And then that's really like the assessment phase. And so you sort of go through all of the motions of like the envisioning, the visualization, the meditation, the journaling, and then, going into writing down action steps. That's really sort of like where you want to take assessment. So, once you've sort of looked at or done your action steps, you can see, okay, are these the things that are actually moving me towards my goal? Because the way that I sort of like see goal setting, it's we want to break it down into really, really small bites. So we have this, let's say, like dream vision of what our house is going to look like and how we want to feel when we step inside of our house, how we want to wake up and what our day is going to look like as we live this lifestyle, right? So then, you have this really big, beautiful vision, and then you want to break it down into what I call like milestones. And those are places as you move up the mountain. Those are places that you can take assessment, right? And you can see like, okay, is this actually moving me towards my goal? And what that actually looks like in the milestone. So like, let's say, for example, in the realm of like buying this home, one of the first steps, like we were talking about before, is like inviting some of those things into our lives that we want from our dream home into our house right now so that we can feel warm and welcome in the space that we live in. So let's just take that as like one of the milestones. If you break that down into like smaller steps, this is where you can sort of, again, like take assessment. Are these little small tasks working towards this milestone that, again, is like working towards my vision? So that's kind of one of the places that I would say like go back to is looking at those, I call them smart tasks, those places of like, what is moving you towards your milestone? Did you actually buy the plate that makes you happy? Did you actually notice and realize like why these certain elements are important to you and then inviting them into your life right now? So that's like a place to take assessment is in those goals. But I also, you can kind of go inward, but also kind of going up the ladder as well. And really, again, just assessing like, is that vision, is that goal, is that why these things are important actually true? Because sometimes, let's be honest, we're always changing, we're always evolving, and sometimes what we thought we wanted isn't actually true. And so there's some sort of like disconnect or misalignment. Then, there's a potential that it's not actually what you want and it's coming from a place that isn't truth. And that's where you're feeling like, okay, like I'm just keep running this mill and like going on this merry-go-round. And yeah, so like those are the two places that I would suggest looking at is your tasks. Are they actually getting you to your goal? Or is your goal still in an alignment with what you want? Because, sometimes we actually don't know. So like it's totally fine to like play around with your vision and what you're looking for and the dream house that you have. If it's something that came from external, then you might want to reassess and take a look inside and say, okay, like what is it that I want and why is that important to me?
No, that's so true. I talk about that sometimes is going in with stuff with good intention also, because it's like the foundation of whatever you're dreaming of, the energy you're inviting in, the foundation has to be like valid and with good energy, with good intentions, because if it's not, you can't build from a bad foundation. Your house is going to fall apart. Your manifestation is going to fall apart. So I love that you break it down into like these subcategories, and because it does seem to make then that dream, that manifestation more achievable, and you can feel rewarded so much easier than this big goal. So I love that.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly that. Exactly that. Like, I think there is this, race to the top. And so the top of the mountain is usually very cloudy, right? Like, we can't ever
Mhm.
really see what that looks like because it's so far away and it's so above us that it's like very difficult to see ourselves at the top. And so what those milestones do is it puts you at like certain peaks of the mountain. And so you can sort of look down and say, "Oh my god, I've completed all this. Like, this is amazing." Also, being closer to the top, you can see yourself like continuously moving towards that top of the mountain rather than just like,
Mhm.
hoping for the best and just like shooting your shot, right? Like, at
Yeah.
least with this, you can see like what's that next level up because
Mhm.
that's easy to do, right? Like, seeing the vision is sometimes very unclear. Seeing the next step in full clarity is actually really, really helpful. So, yes, like breaking those things down is so, so, so helpful. But I love what you said about like, you get to sit in that place and again, like, see all the things that you've done and like feel
Mhm.
so good about it. Like, those
Mhm.
milestones are actually the points of celebration. Like, that's when you can be
Mhm.
like, oh my God, like I did the thing, right? And even to the point of like, let's say that it's not necessarily like working for you, you still have done so much. And what you've gained is actually knowledge and information about what's working, what's not working. And there's still such like beauty to that. Like, not everything is going to go as we want it to, but to be able to see like the progress and sometimes the places that we need to like shift or pivot or just move the needle just
Mhm.
a bit in order to like actually get us to that goal. It's so valuable. So I love that you brought that up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it also just made me think of like it's a journey. Everyone wants to get to the destination, but there's going to be pit stops. You're going to reroute. For some reason, I thought of like Google Maps in my head, and just like, when you have a destination and then they give you three different options, but then
Yes.
you hit traffic on the way to one. And like, so it
Yes.
is part of the journey. You have to enjoy the journey too, because I think then you'll be so much more appreciative. And like you said, you get to look back and go, oh, this is how far I've achieved. Here's what I've done. And then now when you're in your dream home and you're like, and then even imagining that dish you first bought, when you put it into like the cupboard of your dream home, I'm sure that'll be like a full, like, wow, look at me. Here I am now. It happened for me.
Yes, yes, like so expansive, so explosive, where you're like,
Yeah.
this is literally exactly the vision that I had, and it's happening in real time. Those full circles for me are so explosive. They're so expansive. You're like, oh my God, like this stuff is real life. So, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And like, of course, as I go into these homes, like these open houses that are multi billion dollars, I know that that's not something that's happening to me tomorrow or yesterday. Like that's, again, I'm not delusional in the sense where it's like, oh, this is mine and I already have it and it already exists. But again, like bringing those elements of like, okay, this is my dream home. What about it is something that I can bring into my life today?
Mhm.
Experiencing it fully, being gracious for that, and then seeing how, the actual like dream home unfolds itself as I continue to like invite parts of it into my life right now.
Yeah, I love that. And I was just thinking too, is one thing I like to do is go on Redfin and just like see what's around, and just even just that like little indulgence. I call it's kind of an indulgence, like window shopping for me, but just like thinking of picturing myself in that house too. Even that just kind of gives me like an idea of like what I want my home to be. But I love the idea of going to open houses. That is,
Yes.
where did you come up with that idea to go?
No idea, actually. look like? Yeah, I'm not even really sure how that came to be. It's something that I think I've been doing for a while without really realizing like what I was doing. And I'll give it to you like in a smaller sense. So I do the same thing in a sense of like experiencing the neighborhood. So I will go to a place that I really, really love and like want to live in, and I will walk the streets. I will go to the coffee shops. I will go to the stores in the main street and be a resident. Like I will be a native person. And I just, I walk in and I say hi to the people and I really fully experiencing what it's like to be in that environment. And so I think I was just continued to take that like another level, another level until I got to this place where like now I'm going to random open houses. But it's actually so, so, so beautiful to like do those kinds of experiences. Cause again, like that to me is bringing those elements of your dream into your life right now, right? Like I can
Mhm.
be part of this neighborhood. I can, talk to the people and feel invited by them and feel really good about walking in this space and walking down the street and connecting with people who could potentially be my neighbors later on.
That's amazing. Oh, I love that you just even go into the neighborhoods. I wouldn't have even thought. And so I feel like that's where just that for me, I don't want to say I'm closed minded, but I wouldn't think like not just stop at the house, but do enjoy the neighborhood, like really kind of overstretch the area that you want to like manifest the home. It could be the neighborhood, it could be the state. Like if someone's thinking about moving out of state, even too, it's just I love that you're thinking about even just like living there. You say hi to the people, you interact. And I feel like even after you leave you leave your energy in that
Yeah,
space to like keep, I don't know, growing. And so like, as we talked about like ley lines, like some sort of pull could bring you back to that neighborhood in the future. And it could be you moving into your home.
exactly that, exactly that. And like even with like connections with people, like you never know what's going to come up with a connection with somebody. So like as I, say hi to the people and sort of just and engage in like light conversations, that has taken me places, in my life. And so just being able to like have somebody to engage with in, the place that you're really interested in, one, I think kind of helps you with those connections and allows you to, like you were saying, imprint yourself into that space so that as opportunities do come up, your energy is already there. People can already think of you because they're like, hey, I met this girl and we had this fun conversation and things like that. And I've seen that work a lot in my life in small ways, but in other people's lives in really, really great ways. So like that's really one way to do it. But also, as you were saying, like it's or we were kind of talking about as a whole, like it's allowing yourself to experience that capacity fully. And this too is where I, invite people to sort of like assess what that feels like. Like when you are walking the streets and you're, going into the stores and talking to the people, like how does that make you feel? What's really coming in for you on the inside? Does it feel very, very expansive for you? Like, do you feel settled? Do you feel comfortable? Like with what you were saying, like, this is your place. Why? Because you have this feeling inside of you. And so really allowing all of your senses to be part of this experience, like smelling the flowers. You know what
Mhm.
I
Yeah, it's like using all your senses. That's what even just thought of is like you're not only looking at this, you're hearing, smelling, feeling, just experiencing the space. So I think that does level up your goal towards the
Yeah,
manifestation for sure.
100%, 100%. Like I love that it's like, yes, like it's just another level to again having this full body experience. So like let's say like there's a certain flower that grows in this area, you can now take that flower again and bring it into your home, invite it back
Mhm.
into your space so that you continue to hold that energy, and that connection will continue to exist. Like you were saying, continue to grow and flourish and flower so that when the time comes, you're like, I'm already there. Like I already know what that feels like.
Right, you're already at the store getting more of those flowers to put into your garden in that neighborhood. Like, yeah,
Yes.
you're already there. No, I love that. I'm already like thinking too of like, I love Montecito, for example. Like in California, it's beautiful. It's where we got engaged. And I'm already thinking of like ways like to go back there and like see if how I can bring that energy from there home here to Southern Orange, to, yeah, Dana Point. So,
Yes. Yes. I love
yeah.
that. I love that. And like, going on like a little bit of a tangent, but what you were saying about like the lines and where our placements are, sometimes we can't go to the physical place. We can't necessarily, especially if we want to move out of state and into, a different type of home and environment, we can't always do that. So what's kind of amazing about like energy work is that energy exists in all things, including non-living items. There's always energy and in motion. So let's say like your dream home is actually in Arizona, but you live in California. What you could do is bring elements of Arizona into your life right now, like a painting or a cactus, like, or even the types of foods that they eat there. Start having that for dinner. And that's part of the experience, right? Our taste is one of our senses. So
Yeah.
to invite that sort of like play into your life allows you to have the experience of what it would be like to live there, what it would be like to have this home. And again, allows you to take that assessment like, okay, does this feel good? Like, how does it feel when I invite this element of Arizona into my life? When I, eat the food or see this, beautiful sunset as I wake up, decide to buy a painting of Arizona, anything really will do. But yeah, it's another place to experience and assess, like, does this feel good for me? If it does, you're on the right path. If it doesn't, that's where you need to start looking at like your dream, your vision, and potentially what you're doing to get you there.
Right. No, I love that you keep coming back to reassessing. And I think that's so important is see how you feel, whatever the sounds, taste, smell, everything, check in every time. Because I feel like if you don't check in to see how you feel, you can so easily like deviate from the path and think you're going because you're like, well, this is what I wrote 3 milestones ago. But now things changed. Now, yeah, let's say you liked Arizona, but now you thought maybe Nevada. It's just the next state over, but you saw something else and you're going towards a different path. So I love that you keep reassessing as you go, because I think that's so important. So you don't lose time or waste time going on a path that's not in your alignment.
Yes, exactly. And I love that you had said that thing about Google Maps. Like that's exactly how I see things, as a road to where you want to be. And the thing of it is that there's always going to be off ramps and possibilities and opportunities for you to sort of like veer off. And as long as you realize that the path is still exists, like that map is still there, the goal and the road to where you want to be is still there, allow yourself to take that off ramp, allow yourself to get off the road and experience something different. Again, to make that assessment, to see if like, is this it? Like,
Yeah.
is this the road that I want to be on, or do I need to like change course a little bit to get me still to the goal that I want to be at? There's no, one path. There's no one way to do something, but I think it's super important to still have the map in front of you, right? Like, as long as you have a baseline with what you were saying before, like that ground, that foundation that's going to hold you up. Once you're there, once you have foundation, you can kind of move as you want.
No, and that no, it is, and it's so true in like architecture and building homes. Like once you have the foundation, and all the dirt's put back, everything, you can just go up. You can only go up. So it's exactly that. So yeah.
Yes, going up, exactly. Or like I like to consider for us as like human beings, we're just going out, we're expanding, right?
Expanding.
Everything is already whole and complete. We're just holding a greater capacity for more things to be put in our in our container. So yes to that. I love it.
Oh, love it. Well, so to, in a way, kind of not conclude, but just kind of summarize on how someone can start this path of manifesting their dream home. You said to lay out a list of, so you have your milestone or your main goal, and then create little milestones. And under those milestones, almost like subcategories. I know you had a word for them.
So I like to call them smart tasks because there's
Smart tasks. Yeah.
smart goals to me they're beautiful, but they're incomplete because they're missing the bigger picture. But I think those are to me more like task driven than actual goals. So yes, like what I consider the milestones are still very like visualization based things that you can sort of see and assess like, okay, like that is what I need to, or that's what this looks like as the first step to get me to my goal. So when you break down like that first vision into smart tasks, that's when you start to get into the things like, okay, today I am going to, let's just say, like, journal for 10 minutes about why I like really large windows. Like, it can be anything, like, really truly,
Right.
like, it can be anything that moves you towards that milestone. But yes, so breaking it down into like tangible items. So another one could be, visiting the place, the neighborhood that your dream home lives in. Like,
Mhm.
what is that? Where is that? And just go ahead and just walk around, like, for the day. Spend a day in the neighborhood that you want to live in. That's a task that can be easily done, where you can, again, have that experience, take that assessment, realize if it's moving you towards your goal or not. So yeah, so that's kind of how I like to break down goal setting as a general statement. But this, yeah, like, it's very much vision, smaller vision, and then like tangible things, like
Tangible. Yeah.
marketable, yeah, like measurable, exactly as smart is supposed to be, like those things that are very much to do.
No, I love that. And like I said, or we talked about before, is you do get a little bit of that more sooner gratification that you are stepping towards that
Yeah.
goal, which I think is so important. And as I said, instant gratification is something we are all so accustomed to. So this makes it more rewarding sooner than it feels like you're just in the grind. Because sometimes I feel like I have a goal with my exams and you're just grinding and grinding, but having like my milestones with that is passing each exam. And so that's, yeah, you don't feel like you're stuck with these,
No,
with breaking it
exactly.
down. So I love your system.
Yeah, yeah. And so, like, one really, really cool one to do as a milestone is like immerse yourself in the environment. And again, like, one of those things can be like, on Tuesday, I'm going to go to the bookstore, in that neighborhood. And on Friday, I'm going to have dinner at one of the restaurants that's inside of the place that, the area that I want to live in.
Mhm.
And those are the kinds of things that are going to, like, again, yeah, like, let you experience it, let you assess it, but give you that gratification where you're like, oh, like, I'm actually that one step closer, I'm
Mhm.
actually embodying exactly who I want to be, exactly where I want to live by going to the restaurant that's local,
Yeah.
the guy at the counter at the supermarket, like, it can literally be anything. The sky is the limit here, right? Like,
No, yeah.
as we imagine. So yeah, like, taking those imaginations and just breaking them down into things that are possible for you today.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. No, it makes it seem less overwhelming, which is I love. So, oh, thank
That's
you.
what I hope for, yes. Life can be so overwhelming, especially as we, like, try to manifest our dreams and our dream home. Like, everyone, I think, has this vision of their dream home, and so to be able to start that process today, like you said, is so gratifying. Like, it just feels so good, and it really allows us to feel, see, and experience, like, our dreams right now.
You're inspiring me so much. Like after this call, I'm already like ready to make my little list of milestones for our
Yay!
home. I'm so excited. Yeah.
So, so
Thank
glad.
you.
Leave people a little bit more inspired is like,
Mhm.
yes, like, start these things today. Like, your vision itself doesn't have to be grand. It doesn't have to be like I do, like, it doesn't have to be a multi-million dollar home. It can be something as small as like, hey, I want to move into a place that feels good for me, and start there. It doesn't have to be this like ever so far away dream or goal. It can really be anywhere. Like, meet yourself at the level that you are and just look forward, and that will really really be a beautiful thing. Like, acceptance of where you are, but allowance for the vision and the dream that you see for yourself.
I want to like end. That's like the perfect ending. I love it. I love that. Thank you so much. Ah.
Actually, all of my links are right on my Instagram, and it's just my name. It's at Abmari. So my website is there. How you can reach me is there. I also am super open. I love DMs. So, like, go ahead and shoot me. Again, I'm like in this place of like connection, and I just love interacting with people. So I'm very, very, actually very much open to, people just reaching out to me directly with any questions. anything you need help on, I'm here for the masses.
Perfect. I'll provide a link in the show notes so you guys can reach out to Abmari, DM her directly, and I wish everybody an amazing day and good luck manifesting. I'm so excited. I'm already waiting to sit down and write my list.
Likewise, likewise. Thank you so
All
much.
right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of From the Honeycomb. If you like this episode, please give it a heart or thumbs up and click the follow button so you can stay up to date on the latest episodes. And follow me on Instagram at From the Honeycomb Podcast. Thank you so much and see you next Friday.